What's going on, YouTube? It's been a while, but we're gonna jump back into it. Uh, Had a bunch of random stuff going on, so hadn't been able to make some YouTube videos, and I've missed a lot. Missed a lot of important stuff. Tons of financial stuff, government shutdown, political things, news events, all that. But it is what it is. Big story of the day in the last week or so: SNAP benefits, government shutdown. The collision of the two things, basically. Today, latest update that I was just reading before hopping in the car to head on home was Trump admin has agreed to / been forced to through a court order. Whether you really think that's them being forced to, or just kind of they're waiting for somebody to basically force them to do it. Take a little under $5.5 billion in USDA funds and pay the SNAP benefits at half value, 50% of their value for the month of November. Supposedly, people were arguing they could have paid the whole thing if they would have took money from other USDA sources and things like that, but they basically said, hey, we'll pay out half, 50%. So as far as your food stamps go, your SNAP benefits go, you get half for the November. I think the last couple of YouTube videos I made was basically going into the government shutdown. I know this has been like the hot button issue as far as what's coming out of the government shutdown. I know they're talking, their main concern, it seems like the argument that's going back and forth between the Dems and the Republicans is the Medicare and medical health insurance spending. Basically is the key issue that's being debated, and not really being debated. They just keep kind of bringing up the same shit and then saying no, and then they bring up the same thing and say no. So there's no real negotiation going on, I guess, at this point, but who knows. USDA has their contingency fund, but as far as I understand, I don't know how big their contingency fund is, but if that's all it is, then that's a one-time thing. And then if we roll into next month, which I don't think we will, I don't think the shutdown thing will last that long, but hey, never say never. You might as well prepare yourself one way or the other. What I wanted to talk about, though, was more like the cultural side of the SNAP benefits thing, because I've been just seeing some insane shit where it's like, at least let's start at stuff somewhere else, I guess. Let me say this first. Growing up, my family was on food stamps, so I have first-hand experience with living off food stamps. I think my mom overall did a great job not buying a bunch of garbage food, and all the food stamp money went to actually feeding me and my 3 siblings for a single mom, basically, of 4 kids. We ate pretty good. Granted, I think nowadays, if I look back on it, I'd be like, yeah, if it was me feeding my kids, would we eat so much cereal and some other things like that? Probably not. But overall, we're eating vegetables and meat for dinner, and good hearty meals, good amount of calories, not a bunch of processed garbage, not a bunch of frozen dinners and all that kind of shit either. And overall, it was beneficial, and it worked out great. There was a video, however, floating around that's like stirring up the discourse, or whatever you want to say, of this lady who is like talking. I think she was in Arizona, I want to say, but she's talking about her SNAP benefits being cut. And in her little interview they do with the local news, she said, this is the first time in 30 years I won't have SNAP benefits. And they don't tell you if she's disabled one way or the other or anything like that. They don't give you enough details, but obviously people are like, why is this lady on SNAP for 30 years? It's an assistance program. It's not supposed to just fund your entire grocery bill all the time. Granted, I think that's basically what it does for a lot of people. I believe me growing up, myself included. So take that for what it is. I personally am a fan of the idea of SNAP and supplemental assistance to people that need help paying for food, and obviously their kids and things like that. I don't think in the country we live in the United States, the richest country on earth, we should really have to worry about kids going hungry just because I guess their parents made the wrong decisions. It's kind of sucks, because it is like, well, your parents need to do a better job, but it's like, are you willing to let a kid starve to death for that? I don't think so. I don't think anybody's really willing to make that argument. The real problem is when you have people that are either entitled and they come on, and there's been videos, real and fake. I've seen both. Obviously, some of the more blatant ones are just crazy, where it's like somebody like a shitty comedian thinks they're being funny and trying to like just troll a bunch of people, just being like, where the fuck is my SNAP benefits and all this stuff. But there are people out there that get on their phone and sit in their car and are pissed because they don't get their SNAP money for the month, whether they have kids or not, who knows. But they're mad that their food and all their groceries aren't being paid for. Like I said, SNAP is supposed to be supplemental. We had this whole discussion a while ago. I think I made a YouTube video about it a long time ago about them removing certain things from SNAP, all these sugary foods, pop, candy, things like that, getting rid of it. Totally on board with that. I'm totally in agreement with that. I would actually be even willing to up the SNAP benefits if you said it's only allowed to be used for like quality whole foods or something like that. Obviously, you'd have to work out the language, but if it's meats, vegetables, fruits, things like that, I'd be willing to actually give people more money. I'd be willing to pay more in taxes to provide that assistance to people. Actually, in my personal opinion, I don't know how you feel. Let me know one way or the other. But when I watch people that are entitled and or wasteful with the benefits, or they're abusing it, obviously is the biggest culprit of. I don't know anybody personally, but I've definitely heard stories anecdotally. I know it's a thing. It's not uncommon in the sense people definitely use their SNAP money to go buy things, or they agree to trade their SNAP money for lesser value. Basically, I'll buy $100 worth of groceries, you give me $50 in cash, and they just swap it out that way to liquidate their SNAP benefits into cash to be spent however they want. Normally not for the best of things, I feel like, and that kind of shit infuriates me, because more so than I think a person that would be like, hey, they're wasting the SNAP benefits, and it's like, well, I personally was able to benefit from that program, and I think there are a lot of people out there that should and do benefit from that program. And not only are you wasting people's tax money and abusing the system, but you're also giving the whole thing a bad rap, because you're abusing it, you're misusing it, you're doing all these things that basically ruin it for everybody else. And I can't stand when people do shit like that. It's selfish, it's ridiculous, and honestly, I think it should be more heavily punished, really. Like, I don't know exactly how they could do it, but if you can prove that somebody's taking their SNAP benefits and not using it to actually buy themselves food, and they're going, I've seen crazy videos, people, they go buy cases of bottled water, take the bottled water to the fucking parking lot and dump all the water in the parking lot, and then go recycle the bottles to just turn it into cash instead. And it's like, if you're doing shit like that, fucking, I mean, strike one, take the benefits, obviously, fully. You lose all access to the benefits. I don't care what happens to you after that if you do something like that. And then maybe strike 2 or 3, it's like legitimately put your ass in prison. Like, I don't know if you get them back after a certain period or something like that, but it's like, that shit is heinous to me. That's completely unacceptable, and like I said, should be more heavily punished. But that's not the world we live in. And the reality is, right now we're watching rage bait. One way, if it's rage bait, I don't necessarily know. I guess it can be. There's definitely fake videos, like I said, out there. But there's also these videos of people that are like, the shopping cart is through the fucking to the brim with these people going to the grocery store that like either don't actually work or kind of just get jobs just enough to keep the benefits and basically milk the system for all it's worth. They got $1,000 worth of shit in their grocery cart full of junk and garbage anyway, all paid for by yours truly, the taxpayer. And it pisses people off, rightly. I mean, I don't know who's going to argue with that. It's like, yeah, you shouldn't fucking misuse and misspend the free taxpayer money that you get, that think you're entitled to. But to think you're entitled to other people's money is obviously one of the most crazy things I've ever heard. It's just, you should be coming at the whole thing with a sense of gratitude and appreciation, and it's like the opposite with a lot of people, honestly, and it is upsetting, to say the least, I think. And so there's a lot of people that are going to suffer through this, even at 50%. They're going to pay out 50% this month or whatever. That's great. But next month, who knows if it stays shut down. And hey, maybe 50% isn't enough. Oof. I mean, that's It's a real deal. But I was watching another video today by old Clear Value Tax, and he's talking about the budget and in relation to the SNAP thing and how much money can be really saved by them cutting SNAP benefits. One, it's not enough to erase our deficit that we spend every single year anyway, but it would be a big start. But the problem is, no politician has the will to actually do this. Trump doesn't have it either. Don't get me wrong. None of these politicians will do it because that's the problem with all these entitlements. As soon as you give people access to other people's money in the form of entitlements, food stamps, Medicare, all these things, and I'm not necessarily saying all of them are bad, but as soon as you give them away in this way, basically buying votes with all this shit, you can't ever take it away because then you just lose the next election. So none of the politicians will ever have the political will to step in and trim these entitlement programs. Therefore, we spend into oblivion. The dollar goes effectively to zero, and everything goes to shit because people making promises their ass can't cash, with other people's money to boot. So that's always something special. When that'll happen, nobody knows. I mean, we can keep the gravy train riding for a little while. It seems like they've been doing it for a long time. But eventually it will happen, and then it'll be a lot worse than it would have been if you would have just said, hey, maybe we don't pay you so much money per month. How much money are we giving you in SNAP benefits? I don't know what the average benefit is. I mean, I think the average person in the United States supposedly spends $100 a month roughly on groceries. So I'd say that's roughly correct. Me, my wife, and my daughter, even though she's only a little over one, we probably spend $800, $800 to $1,000 in groceries or so per month. So for 2 kids and a baby, that's about right, $400. But we eat pretty well. I'm talking, we eat steak, chicken, eating quality meat. Go to the butcher shop, get some good stuff, fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, and all that. And like I said, I'd be willing to pay more. Give people some quality food, access to some good nutrition, and maybe not so much fucking Captain Crunch and Cinnamon Toast Crunch on you for breakfast and shit like that. And no more Coca-Cola would be fine with me. But this is the situation we find ourselves in. We'll see what happens, how it shakes out in the long run. Like I said, I don't think the government shutdown will last much longer, and eventually we'll see what the negotiations come to, but I don't think SNAP's getting touched one way or the other. I think it'll just come back, and we'll go back to just dumping money into many things in the federal government. A good program that has a good incentive behind it, I would say, but overall is a wasteful, bloated shitstorm of a program that takes your taxpayer money and basically puts it in a cannon and fucking shoots it out at the into the universe, and it's gone forever because it just gets gobbled up by Coca-Cola or whatever, whose sales have been slipping heavily after they're talking about removing sugary drinks and things. Pepsi and Coke both have like huge parts of their revenue come from SNAP purchases. So yeah, we're doing great as a country. It's no wonder everybody's fucking overweight around here. It's all kind of wrapped into it. It's just a giant web of I don't know, I hesitate to call it corruption, but it's just the most insane way to spend money you've ever seen. We spend more money than we ever bring in, and we're just going to keep doing it because we got to win votes, right? And we got to get elected and then vote to spend even more money to keep buying people's votes effectively. So, I don't know. You tell me what you think about the SNAP thing. You think it'll come back? You think it'll get trimmed? My hope would be that it gets I don't need the budget of SNAP to get trimmed. I need the scope of SNAP to get trimmed and tightened up. You need to have, obviously there's caveats and cutouts for people that are fully disabled, all kinds of things. If you're handicapped and things like that, that's fine. I don't care. Most people, I don't think, not very many people are going to try to argue that if somebody is fully disabled and they can't walk, that we shouldn't be like, hey man, we can help you out, we can get you some food, and I really don't care. That's good stuff. But I know the Republicans are arguing hard on the illegal immigrant type thing. If you're an illegal immigrant getting SNAP, I don't know how much of that's true. To be honest, I haven't looked into it enough. Do I put it past the system to just be paying money that aren't actually Americans to pay for their food? No, I don't. I could see that very easily. Huge grain of salt. Like I said, I don't know if that's actually the case. But I do know there are people that abuse it, misuse it, take advantage as much as they can, milk it for all it's worth, and then take your hard-earned money if you're a net taxpayer and basically blow it on garbage. So that's never a great feeling to watch somebody do that with your money, our money, effectively. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a like on the video. I'd appreciate it. Like I said, we'll be back from now on. We're winding into the winter time. Got some drives home and talk about some the most interesting issues going on, I guess, day to day. But I'll catch you guys tomorrow.